Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Too Much Film podcast. We got a good show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about Mortal Kombat, and then we're going to, do a second comment comeback, talking about, our comments from the AOT 139 stuff, because
We're still getting comments.
still getting them. Yeah, it's a very just divisive thing. And then we're going to finish it off talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, doing our full series review. And yeah.
Yeah.
All the standard like and subscribe garbage. Additional thing, I'm finally getting a haircut tomorrow, so
I still have no plans to get a haircut, so this
Nice.
is gonna go on for a lot longer.
yep. And my neck is absolutely killing me today, so we're having a good time here, guys.
Oh yeah.
Finals,
Finals, at least for me, coming up, so busy with that stuff, but still grinding everything out.
Yep.
All right, so
with that, we'll get into the Mortal Kombat discussion. So, I guess first off, I liked it.
yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the fights were good. I thought that I thought it respected the lore pretty well. I mean,
I
there
mean,
were
you
some
know more
things.
lore than I do about
Yeah.
it, so I'll let you to critique all that.
There were some changes, but I mean, there's people that thought it was horrible, the stuff that they changed, but I was like, I
It
can
didn't seem
accept it.
drastic.
Yeah, and let's see. Cole, I thought he was gonna be a lot more annoying, but
Yeah, they kind of normalized him, which was very nice.
yeah, he fit in more than I guess other people,
Thought
once
he
again,
would.
I have different opinions. Like a lot of the things that other people were mad about, it just didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, I feel like that's the trend with us, is that we always think that it wasn't as bad because people always exaggerate everything nowadays, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to stuff like this that's been around for a very long time and it's made films on, but like has been made in film before and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I thought it was great. I have like minor tweaks, but they're just like aesthetic tweaks to it. But other than that, like the fights were amazing.
Yeah.
Every fatality that was in it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a few critiques with like the structure of the story, and I have a few critiques with the fact that like so many named characters got killed, but at the same
Yeah.
time in Mortal Kombat, people can come back all the time.
Mhm.
You have someone who dies like 2 games ago, they find a way to come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not really something that concerns me all too much, but yeah, I think overall, I don't have much to complain about with it. I mean,
Yeah, I really have no complaints either. I mean, you got the fatality, like all like the classic sayings
yeah,
in it. That was really enjoyable to see because it was such a good quality film
yeah,
that that was super enjoyable. I mean, I feel like obviously there's a bit more depth to Mortal Kombat than like Godzilla versus Kong, but like I kind of put them along the same lines. Like you
Yeah.
want to see people get the shit beat out of them.
yeah. I mean, you're going into it like, anyone that was going into this like, oh, I'm expecting a Citizen Kane. It's like, no,
No,
Like,
no.
what are you expecting? But yeah, even going through it, it starts off with a great fight. The Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. You go through. There's pretty much every 5 minutes there's a fight.
Yep.
They're not all long fights, but they're all well choreographed. I thought looked pretty realistic. I thought everyone did a great
Well,
job.
I read an article about how the guy who played Sub-Zero, I forget his name. It's like Jim something, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He was just so well choreographed and he was so good at martial arts. They actually told him to slow down
Oh wow,
because he was going too fast. And the other actors could not keep up with him.
that's impressive.
That's why they re-signed him for, what is it, 4 or 5 other films.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised, like, with the lore, if he ended up being Noob Saibot,
Mhm.
and then, because, there's, Bihan, and then, I can't remember if it's Bihan is the little brother, but basically there's 2,
Okay.
so, like, the original Sub-Zero got killed in the tournament in the game lore, and then, essentially after that, like, then his brother took up the mantle, but then the original one turned into essentially like a death thing. Which,
Yeah.
Was Noob Saibot. So
Makes sense.
yeah, and Kano was
Funniest
dope.
character.
Yeah,
They fleshed him out like so well.
yeah. I mean he. I mean, it kind of sucks that he got killed at the end, but like, yeah,
He could easily come back.
but every single line that he said was so funny.
Mhm.
I just love that one rant where it just ends with him like, now pass the fucking egg roll. Although I didn't say it in the accent, but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he was not only used for comedic relief, but also he accelerated the plot a lot, which was I found that kind of funny. I mean, usually when a character's there and he's specifically there for comedic relief, like that's all he's usually there for.
yeah,
They usually don't have much depth beyond the relief. But Kano just pushed along the plot like even more while still being the comedic relief character,
yeah.
that was done beautifully still. And I haven't really seen that really happen before.
Yeah, I mean, at least not in anything I can immediately think of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's pretty impressive that they managed to do that. I mean, let's see. I can't think of anybody that I thought was really bad casting. Like there's things
the casting
like
was great.
yeah, I think like Raiden. I didn't love the fact that he had an accent just because
Yeah.
I'm so used to the game version where it's just
Mhm.
a very like monotone but like imposing kind of voice.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Where this, I mean, there were some times I actually like had trouble understanding what he was saying,
Mm-hmm.
and normally I'm pretty good at understanding people with accents, but I was just kind of like,
Same.
I'm like, what did he say? But
Yeah.
mm,
Take like a double take on it.
yeah, but that's honestly probably more my fault than his fault, so I wouldn't blame
definitely.
him. But
I mean, yeah, the one noise that I did notice that was in the game, it was in the earlier games. I remember when I was little, like one of my childhood friends, he had a Sega Genesis, and we played Mortal Kombat all the time on the Sega Genesis.
mm.
Whenever you hit someone in the nuts, little guy would come out the corner and be like, "Woohoo!"
Yep.
I wish they did that.
Yeah, well, there's that same guy play like when you burn somebody, he's like toasty.
Yeah, toasty.
Yeah. It would. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like
That
to
would
a
have been
degree,
funny.
It would have been funny, but I mean, I feel like they already had a little bit too much with the sayings from the game, because like I
Yeah.
will say, like, well, it's kind of like all right, it fits with Mortal Kombat. Something like it's just kind of low key, a little cringe.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's just something where like it doesn't have like a non-serious tone throughout the whole thing, and then suddenly he's just like flawless victory. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I.
They shouldn't have had, if anything, they shouldn't have had the characters say it.
Yeah.
It should have just been like an omniscient
Yeah, like
being just kind of say it.
yeah, like the whoever does it in the game should just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than having it be a line that a character says.
Yeah.
Same thing like that, and that would have fit better along the lines of like the little guy popping out the corner, because they talked about hitting like Kano in the nuts like multiple times. They should have hit Kano in the nuts and like he should have came up. That just would have been so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like, I don't know, there's no real complaints with the movie. But obviously in the Mortal Kombat movie, there's a lot of lore to it, but it's nothing jaw dropping.
Yeah. And I think that ultimately, I mean, it's a good. Well, let's see. I mean, yeah, I really don't have really that much to say, honestly, because I just think that they did everything pretty well. I think that depending on how well it does, which I haven't seen the stats on how well
Neither
it's
have I.
doing, but
No.
but it might. I could see it getting, if like almost a whole cinematic universe with the amount of stuff
That would
in
be
the lore.
cool.
Because like people were saying like, oh, they never really explained like what's up with the Lin Kuei versus the Shirai Ryu.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, they could do a whole movie about that and just explain. So yeah, I thought it was a good movie. Yeah.
There's like not much, like you said, there's not much to say about it because there's not any real complaints. Like the effects were amazing.
Yeah, I thought that the only thing that looked kind of bad was
Yeah,
Yeah.
Goro was kind of on the more like just the weirder end, like
Yeah.
like kind of out of place, and
Well, it's really because he's like CGI. Everyone
Yeah.
else is a human, basically.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, even like I'm trying to think of a specific moment because it's been almost a week since we've watched it. Um,
Yeah.
Scorpion coming in at the end,
Yep. Yep.
that was awesome.
That was a good fight. Yeah.
That was an amazing fight.
Yeah. I really just don't. I mean, if I really wanted to nitpick, I could nitpick, but
Yeah,
there's no reason to. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a good movie, good fights.
it's very rewatchable. Like I was
Yeah.
thinking about that when we were watching it for the first time. I was like, you could just sit here and just watch it and just enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I really. There's nothing. I mean, I've seen other reviews who they're just kind of like angry about too much stuff, saying that they probably wouldn't watch it again. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I would watch it again. I mean, it's probably not the first movie that would come to mind if I'm like thinking of a movie that I want to
Yeah.
watch. But if like somebody was like, "Yo, you trying to watch the Mortal Kombat movie?" I would watch it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's just entertaining.
Yeah.
Like granted, like I said earlier, there's not a whole lot of, at least in this first movie, like insane plot depth,
Yeah.
but the fights and the action and the animations, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the effects, amazing.
Yeah.
Just for that, it makes the movie very rewatchable for me. But then again, I'll say the same thing like it did for King Kong and Godzilla. You're watching the movie for the fights.
Yep.
That's what you're there for.
Yeah, and the fact that they did the fight so well, they did it so grounded. I mean, it's just good. I mean, this is probably out of the video game movies that I've seen, I think this is probably the best one.
I
so
agree
far.
with you. Yeah,
I thought Detective Pikachu was good, but it's
I haven't seen
childish.
that one. Yeah, I mean,
you know,
it's Pokemon.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the effects in the CGI in that movie too were great.
yeah, they were. I mean, but obviously more. Well, yeah, no, just good.
Yeah, they were just good.
Yep.
And I haven't even seen the movie. I've just from the bits, the trailers and stuff, I can tell that the animation that is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now it's gonna be interesting how they take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, because I wonder, like, since they released it on HBO Max as well, I wonder, like, how they're going to count the box office stuff. Because
Yeah,
you don't have to pay for it on HBO Max. So,
maybe the views.
maybe. I mean, because I mean, it's probably not going to make as much money. I mean, especially in our case. Like, us, like, right now, until. Because, like, our movie theater in town, or not in town, but, like, close to our
us.
town, is closed because they're doing renovations and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, right now, if we want to go to a movie, it's like a decent drive. I mean, it's not
Half
like,
an hour to an hour.
yeah,
Yeah.
depending on where we go. I mean, like, yeah, and it's just tough. Like, why would I go to the movies, like, 4 or 5 towns over
Mm-hmm.
when I could just go on and watch it for free on
Exactly.
like a legal way?
Yeah, a
you know.
legal way. Like you're not even pirating it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever they do. I hope that they do something. I
Yeah.
don't think it's doing badly. I think
They set up the next movie fairly well.
yeah. Well, it's gonna be the tournament. Johnny Cage is
Yeah.
gonna be there.
Like I
so-
feel like the first act of it will be them getting more champions, and then the rest would be at least the start of the tournament.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they set it up. They did this movie fairly well for it not being the tournament.
Yeah.
They did that very very well. Because I came in thinking it was just going to be the tournament.
Yeah. Which is, yeah. I think a lot of people were expecting that, but honestly, it's nice that they switched it up because I think if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you've seen that tournament like 4 times.
Yeah.
At this point, like the exact same tournament. But yeah, I think, I mean, we keep going in circles, so honestly, maybe we just do our
Yeah.
final scores now. What would you give it?
I'd probably give it like a 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's about where I was.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, that's just some pure enjoyment.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the argument to say, like, it's average.
Yeah,
But,
same.
so then that would be a 5 out of 10, but I think there's enough that I enjoyed to bring it up to a 10. Or not 10.
A 10.
A
I was like,
7,
whoa.
7 or like 7 to 7.5.
Half. Yeah,
Like,
between
just
that
good.
range. Because I would say the same thing like it did for Godzilla and Kong. It did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah,
It showed me some badass fight scenes. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah, obviously, if you went into it with the wrong expectations, then you would be disappointed. But that's not what we did, and we were happy because of it. So
Yeah, and I mean, we've all played, both of us, and we watched the movie with Aiden too, but Aiden was supposed to be here, but
yeah, that's the other thing. Aiden, if you watched the 30330 podcast when we were doing that, our friend Aiden, who was a co-host on that, he was going to be on the episode today, but scheduling just didn't work. A lot of crazy stuff happens. So
I mean, this is just a tight time of year.
Yeah.
Too.
Everything's
winding down, and then
everything's winding down by going way back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I guess with that, we don't have to do a break, but this is what a break would be to transition into our comment comeback segment. So we got a few comments for you guys today, and
if we keep getting comments on the Attack on Titan stuff.
Yeah, so for here on, or for this point, obviously spoilers for
Attack on
Titan manga specifically.
Yeah.
So let's see. We got a comment from Mia Othman, who just says the ending was hot garbage, retcons over retcons, plus high amount of plot holes and inconsistencies. Okay. Now, what I would want to do to respond to this is just say, cite your source, or cite something.
Give us examples of a retcon, of a plot hole, and explain why it's a retcon or a plot hole.
Yeah. And most of the retcons that are commonly out there, I was bringing my mom through, essentially through the whole show,
the anime.
I mean, they're like the oh my god, essentially the manga has not happened yet, but essentially I've noticed things, certain moments that keep disproving these plot holes, and I think it's just because people aren't thinking about these things. They're not thinking about, oh, this thing happened in chapter 97, or the equivalent in the episode. It's just not on their mind when they're thinking about it. So, I said, yeah, if you would have to cite something.
Yeah, I mean, pretty sure we talked about this too. The thing about Attack on Titan is that it's all looped and connected in some way. So someone commenting that might have just been thinking of in that moment, in that specific time in the manga, in that specific chapter, rather than going back to, like you said, chapter, 98, and say, oh, it actually connects to this.
Yeah.
But then if this moment connects to that, and it makes one giant fluid loop between everything, and everything flows, and everything makes sense. So yeah, I agree with you. Just, you'd have to cite your sources, essentially.
Yeah, that's about it. But, alright, so we got a comment from The Phantom Reborn. And this comment, he's essentially explaining, the reasoning behind Ymir being in love with King Fritz. And yeah, I'd say, I mean, honestly, that's the thing that I've analyzed the least, excuse me, because I just don't care. Honestly, I think it's, I mean, my initial reaction was it's weird, and it does feel maybe a little out of place, almost. But that's not gonna ruin the whole ending for me. One tiny thing like that, getting to the overall outcome, which I think was very good. Yeah, so honestly, Phantom Reborn, you might be right, you might be wrong. I haven't looked into it. I don't particularly, it's just not something.
It was such it was such a side thing, and it was really just used to compare Ymir to give more background on her, obviously, but to Mikasa and Eren and their sort of relationship. But it still doesn't add up. They're still not exact parallels of each other. They just have some very slight similarities, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's always what you want, because nobody's ever exactly a parallel. I mean, because I generally think a lot of these people, they want everything to be perfect. They want it to be wrapped up perfectly. They're calling it oh, it's a basic shonen ending, like that guy from last week. But it's I mean, literally, what you're asking for is a shonen ending.
If you want
it would be a dark shonen ending, but it would be like a perfectly wrapped up thing. This is exactly what Attack on Titan would be like.
If you want a shonen ending, watch Naruto. and get to the end of Naruto, like that's a shonen ending.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and
But
not
it
to say
still
that they
works
haven't.
and fits with everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
yeah, seriously, it's like, anyone who expected things to be perfectly wrapped up, I mean, it would be wrapped up in a dark way, but it would still be wrapped up, and that's not
or
the
there's
nature.
the people that just wanted Aaron to kill everyone, and
Well, that's what I
and
mean.
That's
It
about
would,
it.
like, he would kill everyone, everything would be technically wrapped up temporarily until eventually new groups come along, but,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, that's the point. I mean, the point was trying to essentially say that, like, the good side winning put this world in a worse spot.
Yep.
That's not good. Probably shouldn't hate people.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the way I see it.
Yeah, same. I view it a very similar way. Yeah.
All right, and last comment on this clip, we have CK Okoye, I think. Sorry if I said that wrong. And this guy, obviously it's on screen for you. And if you're listening on a place without video, essentially all he's saying is he doesn't agree with our claim or my claim really, that Eren doesn't care really about Paradis. It's more about the people, like that he cares about.
Which it's true.
Yeah, which of course, like, well, he's more saying like, he cared about everyone on Paradis. Where I'm like, I really don't, and this could just be a difference of opinion between him and me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could care, like he could be hyper nationalist and care about his people, like everyone in the country, whatever country you live in, and like you could say like, oh, I care about everybody, I want to save everybody. He kind of said that he's more like Malcolm X. I guess like he was trying to compare that, like, which I think I just don't see it. I don't see it because ultimately, like, he was.
I mean, it depends on what your interpretation of Malcolm X is at that point, because I'm going to be honest with you, Malcolm X really only cared about the African American people.
Yeah, but that's
not even like the whole country.
Yeah, but the whole country was one race in this thing. So I mean, but what I would almost say is like, I mean, you think about it. We go back to that scene where they're coming home from working on the train tracks, and they're talking about who's going to inherit the Titan, and Eren's like, I don't want any of you to inherit it. If they had said like, if the military was like, hey, this random dude from the Orvid district, yeah, he's going to inherit your Titan, I don't think Eren would give a single fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, like, other than the fact that he probably didn't want to die, but like if that's what ended up happening, I don't think he'd be nearly as mad. And like, if you're trying to make the claim that you are, or that you would be, I have to ask you, like, when you hear about someone who gets killed in like 20 states over, like, it's like, oh, there was some guy that shot some other guy in North Dakota. Do you care?
Yeah.
Maybe you live in North Dakota, and in that case, maybe you do. But I mean, for us, I mean, we're in Massachusetts, and it's like, not to say that we are happy by that news. Like, obviously, it's not.
You don't get enjoyment out of it.
But it's not like, it's not like if I heard like, oh, your mom got shot. Like, that's a different scenario.
If it's someone you know or someone you've been in contact with, or like a classmate or whoever, then it impacts you directly.
Yeah, unless it's like insanely bad. Like if it was like, oh my god, there were like 200 people killed and they were all kids or something. Like then you might be like,
then you're like,
shit,
that is screwed up, you know?
But like, essentially, my point is that you can't, like, no matter how nationalist you are, fundamentally you care about the people you're close to more. If you can honestly tell me that if you had to choose between saving your mother and some random dude you've never met, and you'd probably want to choose your mother, like, unless there was some other reason, like, that dude you never met was like the key to stopping a nuke from going off or something.
You saying this now, this is why I want you to watch Naruto.
Oh, I will.
This is literally why there's a whole scenario essentially based around this.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, so in depth. So, like, a lot of people are conflicted about it, and a lot of people love this character for it because it makes this character just so in depth. And for like 95%, not even 95, like 75% of like the series, you think, oh, this person's like the fucking scum of the earth for doing what he did. But then when you find out the truth, you're kind of like,
oh damn,
oh well,
okay.
shit.
Yeah, I
So
feel like
that's why I want you to watch it.
yeah. Well, hey, I already told you at some points, like when I get through the other stuff, I'll go ahead. And do that.
Basically I have a list for Tom, a watch list, of like very concise things, and in the order in which he should watch them, and he's getting through that list.
Yep. All right, so then we got two clips real quick from our other clip, which was yeah, essentially talking about how talking about how Eren never changed.
Yep.
So the first comment is from Face It GM or Face It Gum or something. I don't know.
Whatever.
And his claim he basically says, "You're saying that people don't get that Eren is just a selfish character deep down, but then why this last-minute redemption story that makes Eren a martyr? If he was truly selfish, why did he sacrifice himself for his friends? Was secret repression a theme in the story until now, or was it just bad writing?" Now I'm like, all right.
Okay, you kind of like in the comment, you kind of answer it yourself, right? I mean, he's doing that selfish thing. He, like, you wouldn't even you could easily claim him to be a martyr, right? But he wanted to free his friends.
Yes, that
was his self goal.
That was the selfish goal. Like if you do something for selfish reasons just because, but like it helps other people, it's still selfish. Like he wanted his friends to have happy lives, didn't care about the rest of the world. He just wanted to make sure his friends could. Like that is a selfish goal, saying like I care about my people's happiness more than everyone else.
I'm just thinking about this now. Would it be correct to claim Eren as like an anti-hero?
That would take probably about a 50-minute video essay.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. But like on like a blunt scale, he's a character that is driven by his own self needs and his self want, but it just happens to help other people.
Yeah, I think maybe. I mean, even you could even apply that label to him early on because I mean, ultimately, it's just his goal happened to be perfully aligned with the scouts until the end, like the time skip.
Exactly,
happened.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it was a very selfish goal of his, yet it happened to help the rest of his race.
Yeah, because it's like he wanted to kill all the Titans at first, but why did he want to do that? Because he wanted freedom and he wanted to avenge his mom. Like, yeah, it's not like he's like, I want to ensure that everyone on this island is safe. It's like, no, he's like,
free. No, that's not what it was at all.
Yeah, or at least not the way I perceive it. I mean, ultimately, I think it just comes down to what people thought the story was about before they went.
And when people lay the claim that like, oh, he got all the people on Paradis to rally for him, I'm like, well, that's the smart thing to do. That's how you get people on your side. That's how you gain momentum. That's how you gain support.
Yeah, and also ultimately,
it was a facade for him to be like, yeah, I'm all for the people, all for every Eldians, when in reality it was just like, nah, I just did it for my friends.
Yeah, which, I mean, obviously he didn't want to have to do that either, but, it's just what he did, and obviously he didn't know what was going to happen, but, like, that's kind of, the point. He set it up so that they have a good chance. I mean, Armin's the one that's talking to them. He will, in theory, like he said in Season 3, he'll be the one to save the world. If he does, I mean, but it's not clear. It might not work. And which is why he's not like Lelouch, because he's not perfect, because the ending isn't perfect like what you'd expect from this world. That's just how it is. And very quickly, before we run out of time, before we would have to take a break, this one last guy, Brev in Campbell 12 says, I think the issue with Eren crying at the end and being a simp is that he ultimately gets what he wants. Mikasa doesn't move on in the end from what we see in the chapter. The only thing I don't have much to say. Like, I can't disprove it or prove it. That's the thing. Like, because we literally see one scene of her after the thing, after the time skip. She could have not moved on. She could have moved on.
But
or she could just be visiting his grave on like the anniversary of what happened. Yeah. Like, it's all reasonable stuff. So, who knows?
Or you could put it on a time of like a widow. You could almost put her in a widow perspective. It's just gonna take her years to move on, and she'll eventually move on.
Yeah. So, and ultimately, it's like emotions are a tough thing. I mean, like people do weird things all the time because of emotion. So. Yeah. Anyway, with that, we'll head on to our break about now. All right, and we're back from our break. Now we're going to talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, give our full series review. So we did talk about it a lot last week, so we don't have too much additional stuff to say. But yeah, so I guess we'll start off by talking about the last episode.
Yeah, that's probably the best place to start. That episode, honestly, was probably my favorite.
Yeah,
out of all of them.
I didn't have too many issues with it. The only thing that I think was kind of weird was like the fact that there was no clear consequence for John Walker getting involved in the fight, and the fact that it seemed like it was a bit too clean of like a redemption. Although I don't think he's going to be permanently redeemed. I think, obviously that was a temporary thing, but yeah, it just seemed like there should have been more tension there.
Definitely.
And then the only other thing was that I thought his speech, well, I agreed with the speech and it's what I wanted. I wanted that speech to exist. I just think it would have sounded better if it was in more of like a formal environment, like if he was doing like another speech, like he was in the beginning of the show, because it felt like it was written, like he had prepared it or something, and it just didn't sound like something you'd naturally say just off
on
the
a
cuff.
whim.
Yeah.
It's still very impactful speech though.
It
was what was needed to be said, and like I see people online. Which I don't necessarily agree with or disagree with, like comparing just some of the similarities between the Flag Smashers and like All Lives Matter.
Yeah, which I wouldn't necessarily even. I think that's kind of an unfair comparison. I mean,
yeah,
because there is. Well, it is tough. I mean, because even if we're getting more into our like the full series thoughts, like I think the Flag Smashers are interesting. I just think that they could have been handled a little bit better, because it took me like 3 episodes to figure out exactly what they wanted, because it seemed like they were going in between doing things. I couldn't exactly understand like what the GRC was doing that like was bad. Like I didn't understand. I didn't. It took me I think till episode.
I think it was
5.
like relocating refugees.
Well, it was that apparently after the snap, a lot of borders collapsed and like people just started moving to where they wanted to. Which is where like the one world, one people thing comes from, and like then all of a sudden
that's like one of the similarities, is that it's kind of like representative of the same. And like I remember people, and like I like this guy. It's that Straw Hat Goofy guy on TikTok. Like I will say, like he really made it seem like they were like exact parallels of each other in the video, and he had to make like 2 or 3 other videos essentially explaining that they're not exact parallels of each other, and just some of like the smaller sayings are. But he just came off, and like people in the comments were like, "This is kind of a stretch, just because the Flag Smashers are way more justified."
Well, it's like there is a genuine amount of oppression that they were experiencing.
Yep.
And I think that I mean, well, in general, it's like I don't think that the idea one world, one people is a bad idea. Like I would rather just have no more idea of race.
Yep.
No more like nationalism or anything. I just want everyone to just be, living in harmony, basically.
Living on Earth as humans.
Yeah, we're all human beings. Like I don't think that's a bad idea. And in general, like, all lives matter really has nothing to complain about.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what people were saying.
Like,
and people were commenting back.
And like, when you move into a house, like, you think that like, oh, like, yeah, these people are dead. I came in and claimed it. It's mine now. No one's gonna, judge that. You live for 5 years, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now you have to move back to that shitty country that you used to live in instead of living in like this nice country or something.
Yep.
You get thrown into a refugee camp. Like, it's a legitimate complaint. I just think that it could have been done a little bit better. Like they could have done like a flashback showing her and her family like living.
Put more
happily.
context to it.
Yeah, because obviously it also creates that tonal inconsistency with Endgame, where like we saw the post snap world and it looked horrible. Like, it looked like no one was happy. So like when you tell me that there's a group that was like, oh, this was much better, it's like, well, you have to show.
We'd like to see that.
Like you can't just assume that we'll agree.
Yep.
And that's why I think it took me so long to understand, because it's like there just were. Like, it was like they were building a bridge and there were a few supports that just weren't there.
Yep.
But ultimately, once you get the bridge built and you can put those supports there, it's a great story, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, we saw the very unhappy side of people during the snap, where they were more focused on the loss rather than the gain. Because granted, there probably were families out there where the families were completely intact.
Yeah, yeah, which, yeah, I mean that's kind of what it is. I think, I mean, it does bring up the interesting question that like Thanos, for at least some people, Thanos was right.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
I think especially like if you were poor, and like then you suddenly were able to move up in the world significantly, and then like that was that just because of the fact that like other people died.
Yeah.
That's probably a good thing, or like it would feel like a good thing to you. But like obviously if you're not really struggling and like then you lose, like, oh, my dad disappeared, my husband disappeared, my
Well, exactly. That's what it comes down to, like,
son,
perspective. Because,
yeah.
like, you could be poor, your whole family could have disappeared, and you still move up in the world and still not be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, like I said, if we had just seen a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just kind of gain more perspective rather than just the present and what was happening during that whole moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, I'm bringing it up again. More evidence that Bucky got nerfed.
Yeah.
Way more evidence that Bucky got nerfed. I mean, you see John Walker essentially, successfully, pull up that armored van like it was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Bucky, who can't get the damn door off the van when
Yeah.
it's on fire.
Yeah, you'd almost think that he could, like, if the middle was broken, you could just grab the edge and just rip both the doors off.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those plot things, just trying to make some amount of intensity. But
Yeah, but I was like, damn, you should just... In that moment, I was like, bro, just rip the damn door off.
yeah.
Like, you're a super soldier. Rip the door off.
Yeah.
But no, they nerfed him and all this other shit. Like, bro, give us back overpowered Bucky.
Yep.
Like, please. Like, that was his point.
Yep. And I guess, the fight was good. I think, like, moving into the conclusion, like, I just thought that it was nice, like, good moments. I feel like it was, with the themes and, like, the growth everyone had to go through, it just was exactly what it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
The last episode especially had the same tone and mood, for that matter, of Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it went full circle in a way. I mean, because, everyone's doing the right thing at that point. I mean, you got, like,
Yep.
Obviously Bucky going and making the list, or, well, taking the list and, like, actually doing what he was supposed to get past the grief. Sam, obviously, there was the museum scene, which was really nice.
Yep, with Isaiah Bradley.
Yep. There was the, with just everything, like the scene at the end with the cookout or whatever they were at, like,
It was so funny too, because there were memes going around saying that Bucky gets a lifetime invite to the cookout, and then lo and behold, he's invited to the cookout.
yeah.
Like, that was funny. I found that hilarious. And yeah, Bucky completing the list. Not only does that put his current arc to end,
Mm-hmm.
it puts Steve's arc completely over, because then what he said about Bucky and what he said about Sam ended up becoming true.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
Like when he was talking to, oh my god, why do I forget the old man's name?
Which old man?
The old Japanese man.
Nakajima.
Yeah. Whatever his name was. Where he was saying that, oh, I killed your son.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I didn't have a choice. And
I would have said,
flashback to Civil War, is like, you didn't, Steve told him you didn't have a choice.
Yep. Although, of course, I would have used different wording. I would have been like, I was literally mind controlled, couldn't do anything. Because then it's like, I don't know if he did end up saying that, but obviously I think it was implied that, like, he was kind of like, get out of my house, don't talk to me anymore.
Yeah. But then it was also like, I feel like if I was the old man, I'd be like, but why is he walking around as a civilian? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he must have explained more. He would have had to.
Well, I don't think he's the type of guy that would literally be like, get out of my house.
Yeah.
He'd probably be like,
why?
Like, and then be like, I would appreciate it if you could leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need to be alone.
Yeah.
And that was the end of it. But
And then with what he said about Sam, he's like, "Oh, you're a good man, Sam,"
Yeah.
which is exactly what was told to Steve before he got the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you're not a good soldier, but a good man."
Yeah. I mean, he literally. Yeah. I mean, Sam, I think, is the perfect character to be the next Captain America. I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit last episode, but I mean, like, Captain America should represent the truth of what America is at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when, obviously it's like back in the 40s, America, at least like how it was perceived, like there were significant issues, and we can't act like there weren't. But like, at least we were still doing things like fighting the Nazis and everything. We're like,
it was more just.
Well, it was more like its outward appearance was more just. I think now we're living in a world where like it's made a lot more clear to us that our country has a lot of problems, and and like now that that's more available to us, and like people realize that having a Captain America that like kind of I guess embodies that, and like shows, just like represents those who
knows that those issues are there and isn't afraid to talk about those issues.
Represents those who were left behind during the golden era of the country or so.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting, and beyond that, I mean, it's just cool. Like now it's like flying Captain America.
Yeah, he's got the. See, but now it wasn't answered whether if those. Obviously, the suit's from Wakanda. We could just go ahead and assume that the wings are vibranium.
Yeah,
but
I would hope so.
Yeah, so would I. I would hope so also. But
imagine if they're like, no, you get like copper,
like, or like carbon fiber like wings.
Yeah,
like
that would,
something ridiculous. Yeah. Or like just in more fine lines, like is there vibranium like actually in the cloth?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There's just minor questions. Yeah. It's almost just like nerdy questions that you just kind of want to know for your own self.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want, and people are now having theories that like the Marvel equivalent of the Suicide Squad, like the Thunderbolts or whatever they're called, is going to make an appearance. But Bucky is in the comics, and I'm like, that would just be completely unfair to Bucky to be thrusted into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get an explosive in his head and be like, all right, do this. Like, that's just completely unfair.
I mean, it'll be interesting. Yeah. I mean, obviously, because they did confirm that there's going to be the 4th Captain America movie.
Yes.
And I would hope that Bucky would be in that.
Mm-hmm.
Although I hope that it would be cool if they called it like Captain America and the White Wolf, like they should have called
like they should have done at the end.
Yeah.
When it changed from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier to the Captain America and the Winter Soldier, it should have been Captain America and the White Wolf.
Yeah, or something like that. I mean, I kind of get like the fact that it's like, oh yeah, that will always be a part of you.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. I just think, like, generally the fact that both of them went through such a transformation in this show, I think they would have deserved that at least a little bit.
And one other thing that I saw people talking about was that he never got to tell Tony that he's sorry. Never.
That's true. That is true.
And I'm like, okay, then another minor thing is that in the Notebook, like right at the end, like just barely in frame, should have been T. Stark. Just for like the whole purpose of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
that part will never be wrapped up.
Yeah, which I guess is like the one thing that would still be hanging on to him. Like,
yep.
And who knows? Maybe it was on another page, and like
yeah, you could make that claim.
But we could just headcanon it and just say that was there. But
exactly, like people are talking about it, and about how now with Bucky's current arc wrapped up, about how that deleted scene with Endgame at the end of everyone kneeling for Tony just would have been that much more impactful.
Yeah. But
of course, those are just minor things to me that should have been changed. It could have made it just subtly more in depth.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, like I said, I don't have any complaints about it.
Yeah, I think I mean, other than the things that I mentioned, like I don't think it's perfect, but I think the themes are just very compelling.
Yep.
I think that they're done well enough. I don't think I'm not like I don't know why IGN thought the ending was horrible.
Yeah, IGN gave
the last episode
Episode
of
of
5. Yeah, I mean, there's I really don't have much to complain
I don't
about.
know who they have reviewing these things,
Well, I don't know,
but yeah.
but yeah, I think it was a solid show with great themes, good action, just good moments, good
Oh yeah,
questions.
great moments.
Yeah, I really.
And it was great too because everything, at least in Marvel that we've had, in what recent time we've had, it's been very high strung, intense, extreme, and different.
Yeah.
When this was way more grounded, it was very much needed.
We haven't had a movie that's like feels totally grounded since probably the original Winter Soldier, like that one. I mean, maybe you could say Civil War, but like even that, I mean that was dealing with consequences of stuff that had happened, in Ultron, which
Yeah, exactly. It was very much needed, especially because up next in terms of Marvel we have Loki, which that's a whole nother multiverse thing going on there.
That'll be very different. Black Widow, that might be a little more grounded, but that's not going to be fully grounded.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, when that comes out.
Which I hope that still has a lot of references to Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because of the 10 rings and the Mandarin and stuff. I hope that has a lot of connections to Iron Man.
Yeah, I think that'll be good, but who knows?
And then the director, the Oscar, or the Oscars were the other night, the director of the Eternals won 2 Oscars.
Yeah.
The other night. And people are now thinking that they're just going to use that. They're going to promote the Eternals a lot more coming up because of that. And even Kevin Feige said her pitch for the Eternals was one of the best pitches he's ever heard.
All right, cool.
That's making me excited for, like, granted, I don't know a whole lot about the Eternals. I know our buddy Blast has a lot more in his head about the Eternals. But hearing that about the director just makes me more excited for it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be completely different, even more different from what we've been getting with time travel and the multiverse and all that stuff. Like, this is going back to, like, primal, almost. Like, originations of the universe, of space, like, that type of stuff.
So it's going to ruin everyone's chronological timelines because it's going to be, like, all over the place with that?
Not really.
Well,
if the comics does a great way of it, they just have to go along those lines.
Okay. Cool.
Because when I mean primal, I mean like originations of the universe.
Yeah. Well, I was more saying like if it ends up somehow finding its way back to like where the rest of the timeline is, then like if it starts with like the very beginning, and
if anything, it's gonna fill in small gaps at various points in time.
Well, that's what I mean, because like if it was various points in time, then it would be tough for somebody to watch it chronologically with everything else, because it like.
That's why you watch it in release order.
Well, I know. That's why I agree with you.
Yeah. That's why you watch it. Like if I'm gonna show someone the MCU, we're not watching in chronological order.
Yeah. The only time that I've ever said that it could be beneficial to watch something like in a mixed way was the Clone Wars finale mixed with Revenge of the Sith. If you're grinding out the whole show.
But that's something that's happening at the same time.
Yeah, well that's the thing, and then also like some of the characters' arcs in the show get finished in the movie, but like it's tough because you couldn't, like, if you were showing someone the show and the movie for the first time, like,
be confused as hell.
Well, it would spoil what happens in one of them, whichever one you go first. So
exactly,
yeah. But yeah, anyway, we kind of strayed away. So I guess, it was I think we both agree it was pretty good.
Yeah.
What's your score for it?
See, it's tough because I don't know if I enjoyed this more or WandaVision more, and I think I gave WandaVision an 8.5.
Yeah,
something along those lines. Like I don't know which one I enjoyed more. I think you gave it something similar, like an 8.
I like this. I like this one more. But I don't think, like, for objectively, I think I would give it the same score, but they're very different. Mm-hmm. So I'll go with an 8 out of 10.
I think I enjoyed it more than WandaVision, but I agree with you. I'd probably also give it an 8.
Yeah, because this one didn't have that, like, the first 3 episodes that I was just kind of like, oh my god.
Yeah, like what the hell is going on?
Yeah, can you, like, get into the action? But, no, this was good, so...
It was well needed.
It was
well needed. I mean, now up next, if we're talking about the future real quick, we're going to see Demon Slayer on Friday. So next week's episode, It's gonna be Demon Slayer, and hopefully we'll have our buddy Miguel on it, who
Yep.
we're going to see it with.
Yep, hopefully. And then, I mean, in addition, I know we got Bad Batch coming out soon. Yasuke, that's...
Yasuke, that comes out this Thursday.
Yep, so we could probably talk about that in addition to Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Assuming Miguel watches that too. And then, I mean, we got, like...
Eventually Black Widow and Shang-Chi, but those are very far off in the distance.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot. And I don't know exactly, like, with the show stuff, I mean, if it's not short and all coming out at one time, we'll probably end up reviewing it, like, you know, it'll be like the first episode, maybe something in the middle. Depends on how long. Like, if it's a 24 episode season for Bad Batch, we'll probably do, like, the first episode review, especially because that's going to be 70 minutes long.
Yeah.
And then we'll do probably, like, halfway through, like, episode 12. And then episode 24. But yeah, who knows? I mean, there's a lot coming out, a lot we're looking at right now. Oh, also we got one of the My Hero seasons done, maybe after the first arc. I mean, who knows? There's a lot. I mean, we cover a lot of stuff. You know, if you're into movies, you know, TV shows, I mean, we do that a little less. But
yeah.
And anime especially, like any of that stuff, if you're interested, you know, like and subscribe. You know, turn on the bell notifications. You know, we put up clips. You know, every whenever days. I just do it whenever I feel like it.
Yeah. There's no rhyme or rhythm to that one.
But we have new episodes every Wednesday. And yeah, you'll get notified every Wednesday, 3 Eastern.
Yep.
So
3 p.m.
And yeah, I guess we'll just keep going in the circle with this, or we can stop it now.
Yeah.
Which is probably where I should go. Hopefully definitely next episode, my hair will be less long and horrible. And yeah.
That's it.
There's not too much more to say. So, it has been a great time talking with you guys. It's been a good conversation. And we will see you guys next time.